Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Shut up and get in.
Hello, and welcome everybody. This is HackerFrogs, and I am the Shy Hat. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing two different topics today. I see that my overlays are a little bit off, so let me change those. So we're doing Boolean and time-based SQL injection today. So let me change up the overlay over here, and this is Web App Hacking 6. All right, so what today is going to be a continuation of last week's SQL injection workshop, and after we finish our SQL injection workshop, or after about an hour or so, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be moving into hacker culture. So we're going to be taking a look at the hacker culture of South Korea, and we're going to be answering a bunch of questions about that. So look forward to that. But first, we're going to be working inside of the TryHackMe website, and let's talk a little bit about what we learned in the previous workshop before we jump into this one. This is the 6th Intro to Web App Hacking workshop, and in the previous workshop, we learned about the following web app hacking concepts. We talked about SQL injection. SQL injection vulnerabilities can lead to sensitive data exposure, admin account takeover, web server takeover, and more. Inside of SQL injection, there's in-band SQL injection. It's SQL injection where the results of the injected query can be seen in the output of the web app. It is considered to be the easiest type of SQL injection to exploit. We also took a look at error-based SQL injection, which is a type of in-band SQL injection, where error messages from the database software are returned to the web app interface. And inside of in-band SQL injection, we learned about union-based SQL injection. Union-based SQL injection uses the SQL union operator with a select statement in order to output additional database information from the web app. So finally, we touched a little bit on blind SQL injection, which is SQL injection where the error messages resulting from improper SQL queries has been disabled, but the requests are going through nonetheless. Inside of blind SQL injection is the authentication bypass. So authorization bypass or authentication bypass is a type of blind SQL injection where insecurely written code allows the login of a user to a web app without the use of a proper username and/or password. The most basic auth bypass SQL command is illustrated by the SQL command shown above. Note that there is a space present in the command after the double dashes. So this would be single quote to end out the SQL query, and then or to create a true statement followed by 1 equals 1, and then the commenting out of the rest of the SQL query over here. All right. So we're going to continue learning from the TryHackMe website at the following URL. So I've taken the liberty of starting up the website over here. So let's see. We don't need our attack box today. I started it up by accident, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down. Okay, and this website right here, which we're going to be using for SQL injection practice, we're going to put this in its own browser tab. So we just need to click on this button right here, labeled View in Full Screen. So all right, we can make this nice and big so that we don't have to strain to read what's on the screen. And then we can go over here and click on this button called Exit Split View. All right, so we left off at task number 7, I do believe. And task number 7 is blind SQLi, Boolean based. So when you hear the term Boolean, you might think of some sort of soup stock, but it is not. Boolean-based SQL injection refers to a response where we receive from our injection attempts, which could be a true, false, yes, no, or on, off, 1, 0, or any response that can have 2 outcomes. Okay, so let's take a look back at the presentation over here. So what we're doing is blind SQL injection, which is Boolean-based. Boolean-based SQL injection is a type of blind SQL injection where the only output that is returned after an SQL statement is whether the query returned true or false. The key to using Boolean-based SQL injection is the use of wildcard search queries to incrementally determine valid database contents. Boolean-based SQL injection is an SQL injection attack where certain statements are confirmed true or false by the SQL system. Okay, so over at the Try Hack Me page, or at the website rather. Okay, so we need to skip the first couple of levels here. So, hey, Neospring, hey, ribbit to you too. And you're going to lurk, that's fine. We're going to give you a redeem. We'll redeem I'm Root for you. So this is from the 1989 Batman movie.
What are you?
I'm System Root.
All right, so first what we need to do is we need to skip this over here. And Neospring with the lulls. Nice to see, nice to see. I hope you're having a good time. Okay, so what is the Martin user's password? I think the password from last time was this. So I'm just going to copy this and okay. So if anybody is following along with us, first of all, you need to access this room right here. So I'm providing the link to the Try Hack Me room in chat. And as well, you need to use the password, which is this right here. So that's the password for the first level. And the password for the second level is the SQL injection string, which is this right here. And I'll provide this in the chat as well. Hold on, let's see if I can provide it in Twitch chat. Okay, and let's see if I can provide it in YouTube chat. And let me pull up my YouTube right now. And let me pull up my... Okay, and yeah, that's it. Okay. All right, so you provide this and then anything for the password, and then you can click on Login. And that's going to get you to level 3. Okay, in order to actually access level 3, you have to click on this button right here, labeled level 3. Click on that. And now we see this over here. So it's going to be this endpoint right here, which checks whether or not a username has been taken inside of the database. So it returns this result over here, taken is true, okay? So what we need to do here is we need to determine what is going to return false. So inside of here, we could do admin and false. Let's try this and see if it works. And of course, we're going to comment out everything else. And now we have taken equals false. Okay. All right. So let's see. Did I have any more? Okay. So where were we? So Boolean-based SQL injection is SQL injection attack where certain statements are confirmed true or false by the SQL system. And in doing so, allows us to enumerate the database's structure and contents. Okay. So let's go back to Try Hack Me. So the Try Hack Me page actually has a very good explanation as to how to do this Boolean-based SQL injection. Let's go over there. So it says here, and practical, level 3 of the SQL injection examples machine, you're presented with a mock browser with the following URL. So this is going to be website.thm, and that this is the check user endpoint. And then the parameter we send is username equals admin. So the browser body contains taken :true. So this looks like some sort of API endpoint. The API endpoint replicates a common feature found on many sign-up forms, which checks whether a username has been already registered to prompt the user to choose a different username. Because the taken value is set to true, we can assume that the username admin is already registered. So we can confirm this by changing the username in the mock browser's address bar from admin to admin123, and upon pressing enter, you see that the value taken has now changed to false. So one more time, inside of our browser here, we can actually determine true and false by, first of all, checking something that is usually true inside the database, which is that the username admin is going to be there. And then something false, which is the user HackerFrogs. Is that there? It's going to be false. Okay? All right. So how are we going to craft some SQL payloads that are going to tell us whether or not some things are true or false? Let's figure that out. So the SQL query that is processed looks like the following. So select star from users where username equals username, limit 1. So it's going to check whether or not the user, that the input that we send is equal to something in the username column. And if it's true, then that's going to return true. And if not, it's going to return false. Okay, so it says here, like in previous levels, our first task is to establish the number of columns in the user's table, which we can achieve by using the union statement. Change the username to the following value. Okay, so it's going to be the username over here that doesn't exist, and then we're going to end out this particular field by using the single quote, and then we're going to use the union select over here, and then we're going to select one column over here. So over here, this last part is going to terminate the statement, and then it's going to provide the double dashes to comment out whatever follows. Okay, so let's do this inside of the browser. So this is the SQL injection browser. SQL injection, the practice, yeah, the SQL injection practice browser. So this could be, the username could be anything. So we just need to add a union select to this, and then union select 1. So union select 1 means we're checking whether or not this original query has one column or not. And then we need to terminate the statement with the semicolon, and then provide the double dashes to comment everything out. So just in case you wanted to follow along, this is what we're using for the payload. Okay, and then when we send this, it's going to be taken equals false. So I think what we need to do here, so if we switch this over to something that is true, which is admin, then this is going to be false because the number of columns is not the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra column. So now we're going to do union select 1, 2. But actually, what we need to do is we need to. So in the example, it tells us to number the columns to test for them. But I find that the better technique to use is to instead provide null for the columns, because sometimes the type of information is affected by the numbers that we provide. So what we should be doing is we should be using null in order to count the columns. So I'll provide an example of this in the chat. Okay, so here we're checking for 2 columns. So this is also false, so we're going to add an extra column. Okay, so the taken value has switched from false to true when we supplied 3 columns. So we can assume that this is the number of columns we need to supply inside of our union select statement. Okay, so let's go back to try hack me to see what the next step is. So it says, now that our number of columns has been established, we can work on enumeration of the database. Our first task is to discover the database name. We can do this by using the built-in database method, and then use the like operator to try and find results that will return a true status. So we're going to try the below username value and see what happens. So this is going to be, this can be the same. You know what? I'm kind of confused. I'm a little bit confused why this username is still a username that returns false. But I guess in the case that one of these returns true, then it's going to return true. I'm a bit confused about this. But anyways, so what we do instead of our union select statement here is that we supply the same payload that that returned true, but this time we're going to retrieve something where the database function is like this wildcard character right here. So where the database is like the wildcard character is definitely going to return true, because the database is always going to be the wildcard character in this case. So let me demonstrate. So where database is like this. Okay. So I'm going to copy this last part of here, and I'm going to paste it onto our So I'm going to paste it onto the end here. So it's going to be 3 columns where the database name is like anything, basically. So let me Okay, so I'm providing in chat what our payload is currently. So when we send this, it's definitely going to return true. So because the database name is always going to be like wildcard. So let's so we get a true response because in the like operator, we just have the value of wildcard, I guess. So wildcard %, which will match anything as is the wildcard value. If we change the wildcard operator to A and then wildcard, you will see the response goes back to false, which confirms that the database name does not begin with the letter A. We can cycle through all the letters, numbers, and characters until we discover a match. If you send the below as a username value, you will receive a true response that confirms that the database name begins with the letter S. Okay, so here we're just going to check whether or not the first letter in the database name begins with S. So let's go over to our injection string. So it's going to be, so if we were to send this with the letter A, so we're checking if the database name begins with the letter A, and we send this. Oh, okay. So this is why we have to send a name that doesn't exist over here. Okay. So over here, what we need to do is we need to cycle through all of the letters. So we can check if it starts with B, or if it starts with C, or if it starts with W. And then eventually we'll get over to the letter S, and then we check if it starts with the letter S. Okay, and then when it comes back, it says that it's true, which means that the database name definitely starts with the letter S. After this, what we would do is we just cycle through all the letters again to see whether or not it starts with the letters S and A. So SA is false, SB is false, SC is false. So this can get very repetitive, but eventually we discover that the next letter is the letter Q. Okay, then the value goes back to true. And so eventually we can discover that SQLI underscore, I think this is SQLI underscore 4. No, it's SQLi_3. Okay, so the tedious part is cycling through all of the letters and numbers and characters to discover what is actually going to return true. So we can work through this exercise, but in real life, or if we actually want to do Boolean-based blind SQL injection, what we need to do is we need to use a program to automate this. And I would say SQL Map is the ideal tool for doing this kind of blind SQL injection. Okay, so let's go back to the Try Hack Me website. So keep on with this process until you discover all of the characters in the database name, which is SQLi_3. So we've established the database name, which we can use to enumerate table names using a similar method by utilizing the information underscore schema database. Try setting the username to the following value. Okay, so what we're doing is we're kind of speeding through this process because we don't want to sit here all day iterating through all the letters and numbers in the alphabet, because that doesn't seem like an effective use of our time. So this payload over here is going to be the false username, and then you need to select 3 columns, okay? And then we're going to retrieve from the information underscore schema dot tables table, and where the table schema equals SQLi_3. So this is information that we found previously. And the table name is like A, and then wildcard character. Okay, so what we're doing is we're looking inside the information schema.tables table, and we're looking for, and we're also specifying that the database name is SQLi_3. And now what we're doing is we're enumerating for table names. So we look for the letter A, then the letter B. So let's copy this, and let's supply this as the payload. Okay, so we're discovering table names in this case. So does the table name start with the letter A? So the answer is false. So does it begin with the letter B? Does it begin with the letter C? So eventually, we're going to discover that it does begin with the letter U, and then let's go back over to the Try Hack Me webpage. So the query looks for results in the information schema database, where the tables table, where the database name matches SQLi_3, and the table name begins with the letter A. Okay, it results in false. So eventually, we discover that the table name is equal to users over here. So this is very similar to the way that we enumerated the previous union select SQL injection. So let's go over to the website over here. So where table name is like users. So we discover that this table name is users, and now that we have the table name users, we can then discover columns inside of this users table. So let's demonstrate how. So this is the new payload that we need to run in order to discover what the column names are. So it's going to be, everything is the same here, except when instead of looking in information underscore schema dot tables, it's now dot columns. And we're looking for the table schema for this database name right here, and the table underscore name equal to the table name that we discovered. And then the column name is like something something. So this is the iterative process where we have to discover what the column name is over here. So over on, let me copy this. Over on the website, we're going to supply the payload over here. And now we're searching for column names. So is there a column? Is there a column that begins with the letter A? So the answer is false. So in this table name equals users, we are probably looking for username and password. So what we can do is we can guess. We can guess that inside of this table name equals table name, which is named users, there's probably going to be a username, and there's probably going to be a column named password. So in this case, if we're able to guess at what the names of the columns might be, this can speed up the process a lot. But if we're just working through each letter in the alphabet and each special character on the keyboard, then that's going to be very tedious. And that's why it is best to do blind Boolean-based SQL injection by using a tool like SQL Map. Okay, let's go back. Repeating this process 3 times will enable you to discover the columns ID, username, and password, which you can use the queries to the users table for login credentials. First, you'll need to discover a valid username, which you can use the payload below. Okay, so it's going to be username like A. So we know that there's a user called admin inside of the database from our previous enumeration. So once you've cycled through all the characters, we will confirm the existence of GX000 says, I like big joins and I cannot lie. No other brother can deny. Okay, well, let's give you the wrap then. This is all the things.
This one's dedicated to all the hackers. Yo.
So GX000, have you done a lot of blind SQL injection before? Especially manually, because it sure is a big pain in the butt. I must declare. All right, so we know that there's a username named admin in here. Okay, so GX00 says many years ago, I'm rusty for sure. That's fine. That's fine. There's a reason why we use SQL Map to do this stuff. So, but let's go over here. So we've got our really big. But first of all, let's get the what we're looking for over here. So we're looking for a username like A wildcard, and eventually we're going to figure out that it's admin over here. So just for fun, let's copy this and go over to the vulnerable website. Okay, so username like A, we know that the actual name of the user is admin. And it says true, so we know that that is accurate. All right. So the next thing we do after we figure out that the username is admin is we need to figure out the password for the username admin. So it's going to be where username equals admin and password like, it's going to be like blank over here. So when we do password like blank, or not password like blank, password like wildcard, this is also going to return true. Okay, but if we try password like A blank, then it's going to be false. So eventually, we're going to figure out that the password is some number. So, and the number is going to start with the number 3 over here. So so if we know that these are all numbers, let's try to figure out what this is iteratively. So it's 3. So the first number is 3. Is it 3, 1? Is it 3, 0? Is it 3, 3? Is it 3.4? Is it 3.7, 3.8? So we know it's 3.8. So is it 3.8.7? Is so you can so even though the character set over when we're just doing numbers is very limited, it's still pretty tedious to work through all these numbers to try to figure out what the password is. Okay, so it's 3.8.4.5. Okay, so if we did not know that the password was only 4 characters, what we would need to do next is to iterate through every one of these characters and see that they all return false, and then come to the conclusion that it's only 4 characters, because that's the only combination that returns true. So we know that the username is admin and the password is 3.8.4.5. Okay, let's copy this and provide the password and then log in. Okay, it says correct login, and we will also receive a flag. All right, so let's copy this flag and then let's go back to the TryHackMe page and supply the flag over here. Oh, GX000. I remember, did you say that you lived in South Korea for a while in the past? Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be researching what the South Korean hacking scene is like a little bit later. So we're going to be doing a little bit of searching around, and we're going to be asking some questions, and we're going to try to answer some questions about what hacking is like over in South Korea. I'm actually very interested in figuring out what hacking is like in other countries, like countries that we associate with hacking and cybersecurity. The funny thing is that we associate hacking and cyberpunk stuff with Japan, but I don't know about whether or not Japan is like super like modern as far as cybersecurity stuff is concerned. GX000 says, I can tell you about Australia. Did you live in Australia, or are you just talking about what you've heard in the news? Anyways, we're going to move over to the next task. Oh, you lived in Australia for a decade. Did you attend cybersecurity meetups while you were in Australia? Because I guess there would be cybersecurity meetups in the really big cities like Sydney or Melbourne, and maybe I don't know any other big cities in Australia, unfortunately. Conferences. Well, I bet the weather over there. I bet the weather is much nicer than it is over here. Brisbane, Perth. Okay, cool. Okay, so next we're going to talk about time-based SQL injection. So I'm going to sound a little bit cynical here, but if you thought that Boolean-based SQL injection was tedious, time-based SQL injection is even more tedious, because what time-based SQL injection is it's Boolean-based SQL injection, only you have to wait in between each one of your queries. So it's a bit. So yeah, let's work through this. Okay. So this is the first query that we're going to do, and we're going to see on the vulnerable web page that if we have and we have this referrer over here, and it's going to be tryhackme.com. So if we send this, then the request time is going to be very short. Okay. What we're doing is we're sending a false one, a false payload. So this is going to be a false referrer, and then we're going to send the union select sleep command over here. So when we send this, if the SQL query would have come back true, then it's going to delay the response by 5 seconds. So we're going to send this. So this is not true because the response came back right away. All right, let's go back to Try Hack Me for a little more education. If there is no pause in the response time, we know that the query was unsuccessful. Like on the previous tasks, we add another column. So, okay. So this part is we're looking for the number of columns in our union select. Okay, so over here, so we're going to do union select null for one column. Oh, no. Actually, this is the first column. The first column is the sleep command. So for the second column, we're going to do comma and then null to check for a second column. Okay, so when we send this payload, then we see that the request time has taken 5 seconds instead of almost instantaneously, which means that this is the correct number of columns. So sleep is the first column, and then we supply null for the second column. Okay, so that means we've found the number of columns that we need for this query. So Jeff, GX00, can you tell me what the cybersecurity scene was like over in Australia? And you know what? I might, if you're interested in educating some people, you might consider coming on the stream and talking about or maybe you can just join me when I'm doing some research about the cybersecurity scene in other countries, like in Australia, and you might be able to supply some insight or guide me towards some good answers. All right. Yeah, let's talk about that when we meet up next. Okay. All right. So let's go back over here. So this payload should have produced a 5-second delay, which confirms the successful execution of the union statement and that there are 2 columns. Okay. You can now repeat the enumeration process for the Boolean-based SQL injection, adding the sleep method to the union select statement. If you're struggling to find the table name, the below query should help you on your way. So what we have here is the payload we would use in order to enumerate for the database name. So we can copy this, and then we can go over to the vulnerable website. Okay. So what this is, what the payload is an incorrect name, and then union select 2 columns over here. And GX00 says, time-based attacks like this are super interesting, can also be used for leaking data. For example, you could potentially try the forgot password feature. Maybe they don't tell you if the email address you tried is valid or not, but if you time the response, maybe you can determine if it's a valid email depending on how long the response took. That's true. Actually, inside of web app testing, there is such thing as timing responses for whether or not the database returns something to you or not. So you can determine whether or not a username is valid when you're trying to brute force a login form by timing the amount of time that the database takes to come back with your response. So I think you're definitely onto something, and it is a very interesting type of attack. What I really want to do sometime is I want to come up with a module on how to test login forms, because that was something I was working on when I was at my job previously. All right, so what are we doing? Okay, so it's going to be where the database function is like u something something. So what we do here is we're trying to figure out the name of the database. So I'm going to spoil it a bit and say that the naming scheme for these databases is just like in the previous tasks. So if we check if the database name begins with S, then we're going to see that the response time takes 5 seconds for it to respond. So what the database name is actually SQL _4, just like this. Okay, so let's check this. And this is also going to take 5 seconds. So if we know this, we can follow all the steps that we did previously, except that everything is going to take 5 seconds to respond. So that's a bit that's a bit of a pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip to the part where we know everything except for the password. Okay. So let me grab the payload that we need. So over here, we're going to grab the payload, the last payload we did for Boolean based. So that is this one right here. So the only thing we need to change about this payload is that we need to include the sleep. We need to include the sleep function, and we need to remove one of these columns right here. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this, and then I'm going to go to the injectable payload. What I need to do is I need to include sleep for 5. Actually, you know what? We could actually do this faster by doing sleep for 2, but it does include a wider margin for error. And then we delete the third column. Okay, so if this works, let's supply it to everybody in chat, to those people who are following along. Okay, so this should return instantaneously. And what we need to do is we need to iterate through. So this is another numbered password. So what we need to do is we need to iterate through these numbers to figure out what the first digit of the password is. So here, because the request time was 2 seconds, we know that the first digit is 4. And then let's do, okay, it's not 4-1, it's not 4-2, it's not 4-3. Seven, 8, 9. Okay, so it is 4-9. So then we do 4-9-1, 4-9-2, 4-9-3. Okay, so it is 4-9-6. So it is it 4-9-6-7 or 8? How about 9? Nope. Is it 4? Is it 5? Okay, so the password is actually 4961, and as usual, we would confirm this by trying everything else afterwards, and we'd have to exhaust all the options before we realize that that this was the password right here. So let's copy this and provide this as the password. So it's going to be username admin and password, the password that we just discovered. So to anybody who's who just wants the password, I provided it in chat. Click on login, and we get our final flag for this room. It is THM SQL Injection Master. So to anybody who wants to do a little more study on SQL injection, you can definitely read over the data inside of each one of these tasks. It does go through how to do this manually very thoroughly, Or was I? Okay. So what is the final flag after completing level 4? So I copied it, and then I'm going to supply this as the password. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about out-of-band SQLi. So we can try reading this, but I made a little presentation about what exactly is out-of-band SQL injection. Let's take a look. So this is out-of-band, otherwise known as OOB SQL injection. It's a type of SQL injection where the output of any SQL queries can be passed to the services outside of the web apps network. Okay, so what we're talking about when we talk about out-of-band SQL injection is that the application is going to send the results of the SQL query to something that's outside of the web apps domain. So one example would be where SQL injection is able to trigger a DNS query lookup to an attacker-controlled server. The SQL query output would then be included in logs for the out-of-band service used. So out-of-band SQL injection is uncommon because it requires the SQL software to be able to send SQL data out of band, that is, out of the domain of the web app that is running the SQL database. Okay, so the web app contacts the SQL database, and then the SQL database contacts an out-of-band server, so via HTTP or DNS. So that is outside of the web app's domain, as opposed to in-band or blind SQL injection, where the results of the database queries can be seen in the web app. So usually, the web app is going to send a query to the SQL database, which is going to send the output or the results of that query back to the web app. Okay, so this is in-band SQL injection, and this is out-of-band SQL injection, where the web app contacts the database and the database contacts an out-of-band service. So out-of-band attacks require two different communication channels, one to launch the attack and another to gather the results. So we've got an attacker's web browser, and we've got an attacker's web server, and in a typical out-of-band attack, the attacker is going to inject the SQL queries to the SQL database via the web app. So the attacker's web browser is going to contact the web app, and the web app is going to contact the SQL database. And then the database is going to send the output of the SQL injection via HTTP or DNS traffic to the attacker's web server. So one more time. So we've got the attacker's web browser, which contacts the web app, and the web app contacts the SQL database, and the SQL database is going to send the results of the query over to the attacker-controlled web server. And then from the attacker-controlled web server, this is where the results are going to be gathered, okay? So, which receives and logs the results and can be retrieved by the attacker at their leisure. So, let's go over what remediation is like for SQL injection. Okay, so this isn't something we talk about a lot, especially people who are only interested in exploitation. This section is going to go over some of the preventative measures developers can take to better secure their web applications against SQL attacks. There are 3 measures of remediation recommended here. So this is actually on the THM website. So the answer for this question is name a protocol beginning with D that can be used to exfiltrate data from the database. The answer is DNS. And then the last section over here is remediation. Okay, so they're talking about how web applications can be secured against SQL injection. And there are 3 different methods over here. We're going to go over them in the presentation over here. So the first measure is prepared statements with parameterized queries. So this is where we can, prepared statements are SQL code written in such a way that the user input is compartmentalized away from the SQL query. So whatever the user inputs is separated away from what is put into the SQL query, and that better secures the app. In addition, the queries are parameterized, which further serves to isolate user input from the SQL statements. So this is a more secure way of writing your code to integrate your SQL database with your web application. So another thing is input validation. The second suggested remediation method is input validation, which filters or modifies user input that includes special characters. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to inspect whatever the user uses as input, and if one of these bad SQL injectable, one of these bad characters that can be used for SQL injection is included in the user's input, it's going to filter or delete these kind of special characters. Special characters and user input are what enable SQL injection attacks, and input validation helps in securing web apps. The final suggested remediation method is escaping user input, which also targets special characters and user input. So basically, what this does is it has the web application take a look at what is used in user input, and if it contains any of these illegal characters, it's going to transform these characters in a way that makes them that makes it so that they cannot be interpreted as special characters by the SQL software. But escaped user input modifies special characters in such a way that SQL software will not interpret these characters as code. So let's go on to our summary for today. Let's review the SQL concepts we learned in today's workshop. We learned about Boolean. Well, no. We learned about blind SQL injection, Boolean-based. Boolean-based SQL injection is a type of blind SQL injection where the only output that is returned after a SQL statement is whether the query returned true or false. We also learned about blind SQL injection, time-based. Time-based SQL injection is a type of blind SQL injection where we give the database software an instruction to return a delayed response. And if so, we know that the attack was successful. And we learned about out-of-band SQL injection. It's a type of SQL injection where the output of any SQL queries can be passed to services outside of the web apps network. And lastly, we learned about how to remediate web apps against SQL injection vulnerability with practices such as prepared statements with parameterized queries, input validation, and escaping user input. Okay, so before we finish this off, let's go over to the TryHackMe page and let's answer the last questions over here, okay? So name a method of protecting yourself from a SQL injection exploit. So I think we're looking for prepared statements in this case, because it matches the number of letters that we're looking for. Okay, and now we're done. Okay, well, let's see. Okay, so what's next? In the next HackerFrogs After School Web App Hacking Workshop, we're going to be learning how to use Burp Suite, the industry standard software for web application security testing. So everybody, the last couple of sessions for web app hacking is we're going to learn about Burp Suite. And if you learn how to use Burp Suite, you're going to be able to teach yourself how to learn about more web app hacking techniques. Because after you learn how to use Burp Suite, you can go over to portswigger.net. And you can read about all of the web app security flaws over here. And I will actually, let's give a link to everybody. So in case you want to take a look at this education material ahead of time, you can go ahead and go to this website over here. But otherwise, what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over to our second topic, which is learning about South Korean hacking culture. All right. So I'm going to turn on some music. Where is that music? Okay. Hopefully this is not too loud for everybody. And let's also change up our overlays. Okay. And that doesn't quite fit. Let's just call it South Korean hacking. Actually, let's call it South Korean InfoSec. Okay. And then here, this is hack the culture. All right, hold on, everybody. I'm going to take a little water break, just a second. All right, much better, much better. Okay. So let's slurp, slurp. Yep. All right, so let's kick this off with what do we have? I keep on playing the same redeems over and over again. Let's call this Go to Hack.
Mr. Hat, may I please be excused from class?
Well, Kyle,
Yes.
you hear me? You go to
Hack.
You go to
Hack.
You
Have a great day.
I hope everybody's having a great day, everyone. Okay, so let's go over to the HackerFrogs GitHub. We have a bunch of questions that we want to answer in this Hack the Culture segment. So we've got international hacking. So we're essentially what we're going to do is we're going to try to answer a bunch of questions about the South Korean hacking scene. And if you want to take a look at what we're going to be, the document we're going to be working off of, it's in the chat right now. You can go ahead and take a look there. And essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working off of the questions over here, and then we're going to be answering questions about the South Korean hacking scene by answering these questions. So what are some big... bear in mind that I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the South Korean hacking scene. I have lived in South Korea for a couple of years, and I did some teaching there. But as far as technology is concerned, I did not interact with big technology companies over there at all. I will say that that the country is very online, and that I feel like the internet infrastructure over in South Korea was quite good. Okay, so what I think is going to happen is that I'm going to ask ChatGPT for a bunch of questions. I suppose we could also ask other AIs like Perplexity or Gemini or some other ones, because I'm not too sure otherwise how we would find these answers. We could do a bunch of Google searches. What are South Korea's biggest cybersecurity companies? Okay, the top cybersecurity employers in South Korea include IBM. So IBM's not necessarily a South Korean company. Checkpoint Software Technologies, Fortinet, and Palo Alto Networks. So I get the feeling that none of these... GX000 says most of these are US based. Yeah, exactly. So I don't see any distinctly South Korean companies here. So that's that says something. Okay, so I see a certain user in here. I'm going to ban this user for spam. Okay, so IBM Corporation Checkpoint Software. What is Checkpoint Software Technologies? I'm not sure. Let's look this up on Wikipedia really quick. So Checkpoint Software Technologies is an American Israeli multinational provider. Okay, all right. You know what? I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT. What are the biggest cybersecurity companies in South Korea? Please include or do not include companies which are based in America. Okay, so we've got OnLab. OnLab is one of the most prominent cybersecurity companies in South Korea, founded in 1995. Okay. I have heard of this company before. I think they were, when I was trying to do banking in South Korea, I needed to install this on my computer in order to do my online banking. So let's supply this as one of the answers. And we'll put this in a list form. What else do we have here? SK Infosec. SK Infosec is a major player in South Korea's cybersecurity industry. So SK is a really big company in South Korea. Yes, it says it's part of the SK group. So let's do a really quick Wikipedia search on this to see if they have an entry. They may or may not. Oh, they do. Okay. And I am going to turn off dark mode because Wikipedia in dark mode looks really weird to me. Sorry, everybody. South Korean Information Security Company, okay, is a member of, okay. So let me copy this and supply this as an answer. And maybe we'll ask another AI just for a little bit of perplexity. What are some cybersecurity companies in South Korea which are native to the country? Okay, so once again, we have OnLab, and we have SK Infosec, which was what we saw. And we see, so this wasn't included in the ChatGPT answers. So Sendstone is a fintech startup focused on digital security. All right. And we have S2W, which specializes in dark web data analysis. Hey, hello, Devsuthar. Welcome, and good morning to you. Let's give you the frog song. Okay, so we also have this company over here that that Perplexity says is government affiliated, and this company is called Hanwha Systems. So it's a leading defense and security company that also provides network security, mobile security, consulting services, etc. Okay, so let's copy this name over here, and Let me close out some of these tabs. Okay, so next, what are some big incidents that happened in the past concerning this country right here? So we're talking about South Korea. I suspect that most of the really big cyber incidents that are associated with South Korea involve North Korea in some way, but we can ask this question. So let's try a little Google search first. So biggest tax, South Korea. So top 15 cybersecurity breaches in South Korea. Okay, let's take a look at this article. Okay, so let's make the text bigger so we can read along. Since 2017, the number of recorded incidents against private businesses has increased by 119.5%. So number one, a massive data heist affected South Korean users of Nate and Cyworld. Okay, so these are native North Korean websites and applications. So there's a big data leak originating from Nate, one of the most popular search engines. Oh, Nate, okay, is a search engine, okay. In South Korea, and Cyworld, the country's largest social networking site. So Cyworld was something that I was told about when I was living in Korea. It's kind of like it's a bit like Facebook, and it's a bit like MySpace, and it was the South Korean version of that. According to the incident details, over 35 million users had some of their personal information stolen by hackers allegedly traced to China. Okay. So, this is, you know what, as far as really big hacks are concerned, like the stuff that involves user data being leaked out seems to be, it doesn't really excite me. I don't want to sound like I'm jaded or cynical or anything, but like user data being leaked as part of big hacks doesn't really get my attention very much anymore. So credit card information of 2 million South Koreans stolen in okay. So okay, this is more interesting. Massive leak of banking information of 20 million occurred in January 2014. By a computer contractor working for the Korea Credit Bureau. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy some of these headlines. And then I'm going to note the year that it happened. So this was 2014. And over South Korea telecom provider reported a data compromise. Okay. South Korean credit card firms suspended over data breach. Medical information over 43 million South Koreans leaked. Oh no, wait, there was the Olympics. The Olympics got hacked. So wait, let me I remember this. So South Korea Olympic hack. So I think let me ask about this on Perplexity AI. So let's see. No, we're not asking follow-ups, but okay. There was one time where South Korea was hacked at the Olympics. Tell me about that. Okay, so it says in February 2018, during the Winter Olympics held in Pyeongchang, South Korea, a significant cyber attack targeted the Olympic Games infrastructure. Here are the key details of the incident. Okay, so it was just before the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics. So they say Russian military spies hacked several hundred computers used by Olympic authorities. The attack caused disruptions to various systems, including internet services, broadcast systems, the official Olympics website, ticketing systems. Okay, so I'm just going to call this the Pyeongchang Olympics hack in 2018. So I think, hold on, let me finish. Olympics. So 2018. So I'm gonna note that this was the Winter Olympics. Okay. I wonder if there's maybe one really big hack that we can get from ChatGPT. Hold on. What were the biggest hacks associated Hold on. This is unresponsive. I'm going to reload this page. You know what's interesting is that this list from ChatGPT doesn't include the Olympics hack. Cyber attack on South Korean government officials, hydro and nuclear power. So this actually sounds much more serious. So hackers breached into the network of Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Co., the company responsible for operating South Korea's nuclear power plants. Sensitive data, including the blueprints of reactors, were stolen and leaked online. So, okay. So this is not as serious as I thought, because I thought that the hackers might have been able to access the nuclear power systems, but that is not the case. But what is this event? So 2009 is actually like, that's considered ancient history as far as like hacking stuff is concerned, because anything that gets close to the 90s is basically the infancy of the internet. Well, the modern internet, anyways. Hold on, let me switch to something a little less intense than this. That's better. Okay, so Volko says, does that make me a dinosaur? Well, it means that you shouldn't be comparing yourself to the age of the internet. But Volko, let's give you all the things.
This one's dedicated to all the hackers. Yo.
Welcome to the stream, Volko. We're just talking about the South Korean infosec and hacking scene, and we're just talking about some big events that happened over there. So I guess what do we do for the last one? But distributed denial of service attacks that targeted government, financial, and media websites. Okay, that was in a broader campaign that affected websites in the United States. So I guess it's mostly targeting the government in this case. But let me just copy this and supply this as one of our answers. Okay, so how does the North Korean presence affect the cybersecurity of South Korea? I would expect that it affects it heavily, but let's ask one of our AI friends. So, what are some of the major impacts of North Korea on South Korean cybersecurity? Okay, so increased threat level, targeting of critical infrastructure, economic impacts. So what I'm guessing is that a lot of the cyber attacks that affect South Korea originate from North Korea. I'm guessing in the form of people trying to breach different companies and different government sites. So I guess what we can say is that the presence of North Korea probably makes South Korean cybersecurity much stronger because they have to contend with these constant threats and attacks. The Lazarus Group, yes, exactly, right. But we can't say that every hack that comes from North Korea is going to be coming from the Lazarus Group. Pokemon says, "Yo, Pokemon, how are you?" And let us give a redeem to our good friend Pokemon, who's come in, and we'll give you the I'm Root. So this is from Batman.
What are you?
I'm System Root.
All right, so I guess as far as this answer is concerned, the presence of North Korea strengthens South Korean cybersecurity because of constant threats of attack. All right, so let's leave it there. What is the government's agencies which affect computer technology and cybersecurity? So we all know that that the U.S. has the FBI and the NSA, and Canada has CISA, which is their version of the FBI. But I don't know what the organization would be for South Korea. But so we should probably find out what the government agency is that covers this stuff. So in Wikipedia, South Korea government cyber security. So I guess the National Intelligence Service, maybe. Let's take a quick look. And then let's search for cyber. Cybersecurity. The National Intelligence Service in Korea is responsible for overseeing national cybersecurity policy and defending against cyber threats, including distributed denial of service attacks. Also investigates any cyber intrusions and conducts information through cyber threats. Okay, so this is the answer. It's this agency right here. Okay, so I don't know any famous hackers or security researchers from South Korea. So this is an interesting question right here. Let's ask Perplexity if it knows any famous South Korean hackers. Who are some famous South Korean hackers / security researchers? And what are their stories? Okay. Why are you telling me about the Lazarus group? They're not South Korean. I said South Korean, jeez. Okay, so this person right here, be based? Based? Is this person actually based? A well-known South Korean white hat hacker and security researcher, he has discovered vulnerabilities in major platforms like Google and Facebook, won multiple hacking competitions, given presentations at international security conferences. Okay. Okay, let's I can't believe this person's name is Based. Okay, well anyways. Hold on. Okay, so this first person is Based. Let's see if we can find a couple more. So Choi Sang-myung is a prominent cybersecurity expert. He serves as a professor at Korea University's Graduate School of Information Security, advised the South Korean government on cybersecurity matters, frequently comments on major cybersecurity incidents in the South Korean media. Okay. So I don't even know how to pronounce this. Kitri Bob program participants. The Best of the Best Bob program, organized by South Korea Information Technology Research Institute. Several cybersecurity experts. On-lab researchers. Okay, so I guess we can say it's these two people. Let's just use this as an answer over here. So the next thing we need to do is we need to cooperate with something else. So if we go over to Google and we Google famous hacker South Korea, why is Google telling me about North Korean people when I ask for South Korean people? Okay, and then it gives us Lazarus group. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that that even Google can't get South Korea and North Korea straight. Okay, let's ask. GX000 says North Korea hacked Google. Well, they certainly. You know what? North Korea is certainly more famous as far as like hacking stuff is concerned, because people. I guess man, I don't want to think about it. Okay, let's just ask ChatGPT. Please tell me about famous South Korean hackers and cyber security researchers. Do not include North Koreans in your answer. Damn it, I can't spell today. Okay, so we've got so this is definitely a more thorough answer. Okay, Jung Hyuk Park, prominent cybersecurity researcher and professor at Seoul National University. Okay, known for his extensive work in the fields of information security, cryptography, and network security. Okay, so this person known as Loki Hart. well-known South Korean hacker and security researcher. He gained recognition in the global hacking community for his skills in discovery and exploitation. So I don't know about the South Korean hacking scene, so I haven't heard of any of these people. GX00 says, interesting how it displays their name in a Western style order from first to last. Yeah, I suppose that's the default for ChatGPT. I guess if we ask about anybody, from East Asia, it's probably going to give us this kind of order. So, okay, so the follow-up question is, of these people, who would you say is the most famous? Okay, so this, let's just include them both. Okay, so Jung Hyuk Park. And the other person is named Loki Hart. I might do a little bit more research on these people a little later, but I want to get through these questions. I want to get through the rest of these questions first. All right, so what is the public perception of hacking / cybersecurity? Hold on. Okay. So what is the public perception of hacking and cybersecurity? I guess this probably isn't going to be, you know what, I'm going to skip this question because this is the public perception of hacking / cybersecurity I don't think it's going to differ all that much between different countries. But maybe I should just I should ask just to be thorough. Okay. What is the perception of hacking in South Korea? Is it any different than the perceptions in any other modern country? Okay, in South Korea, there's a nuanced view of hacking that recognizes both its potential threats and benefits. Okay, seen as a significant national security concern. Recognition of ethical hacking as a valuable skill for national defense. The South Korean government actively promotes ethical hacking skills. The Best of the Best program, organized by the Korea Information Technology Research Institute, trains top computer experts in cybersecurity. This is the, I'm going to take note of this right here because this has been mentioned more than once. Hold on. And this was kind of a non-answer. I'm just gonna leave this blank. Okay, so what are some educational organizations, schools, and CTFs associated with cybersecurity / hacking? I think we covered this a little bit, and they're talking about let's you know what? We'll ask for the biggest CTF competitions in South Korea. What are the biggest CTF competitions in South Korea? Secu-inside. Secu-ins. Okay. Secu-inside. Let me see if I can search for a website. Secu-in. This, I mean, the name is just kind of all right. Secu-inside CTF. So I don't see a general website for this. You know what? This might be, I don't know if this is current. Because it only, on CTF time over here, the last one they mentioned is 2014. So is this a dead competition? Let me let's do a little more Google searching. And let's search for 2020. I don't think this is running anymore. But you know what? It's kind of expected that that ChatGPT is not going to have the latest information because ChatGPT is looking mostly at the English internet. Okay, so it also says HUST CTF, Hacking and Security Technology. DEF CON Korea qualifiers, okay. Let's search for this one. Okay, so over here we've got a site from somebody participating in this challenge from 2015. So this is probably not a CTF that's still going on right now. Okay, let's ask Perplexity the same question and let's give it some parameters. So what are the biggest cybersecurity CTF competitions in South Korea? Please do not include competitions that are not running in that have not run in the past few years. Okay, so we've got some different results now. Asian Pacific Regional Cybersecurity CTF. It's specifically designed for individuals under 26 in the Asian region, including South Korea. So this is not Korean specific. Let's see. Not exclusive to South Korea. Primarily a Mongolian competition. So okay, so I guess the CTFs are mostly international. It's worth noting that while these competitions are significant in the region, the search results don't provide extensive information specifically about South Korean CTF competitions. Many international CTFs like Google Capture the Flag are popular among South Korean cybersecurity enthusiasts and professionals. They are not exclusive to or hosted in South Korea. Okay, that's a little bit disappointing. But let's take a look at the questions over here. So, educational organizations, schools, and CTFs. We have this Best of the Best program organized by this institute over here that is all about training the top talent in the cybersecurity field over in South Korea. But let's ask about let's ask a little more. What are some other big schools / organizations in South Korea which seek to train cybersecurity talent. Okay, so we've got Korea University School of Cybersecurity, dedicated school of cybersecurity that offers several specialized programs. Okay. Programs offer a wide range of cybersecurity specializations, often collaborate with government agencies and private sector companies. While not mentioned in search results, KAIST is known for its strong computer science and engineering programs, which include cybersecurity education. And we've heard about this one, the Best of the Best program, Samsung Track. Korea University's Department of Information Security offers a Samsung Track, which is a hiring conditional training course aimed at cultivating experts in information protecting technologies. Okay, and we've got some international companies as well, like EC Council and SANS Institute. So I guess what we can pull out of this is Korea University over here, School of Cybersecurity. You know what? I really want to ask about hacker collectives, actually. So maybe... Are there any well-known hacker/cybersecurity organizations in South Korea that are comparable to something like the Chaos Computer? Why do you spell that? Chaos Computer Club of Germany. Okay, so though none are exactly analogous to the Chaos Computer Club of Germany in terms of their cultural and political influence. Okay, we have KIZIA, Korean Information Security Industry Association. KIZIA organizes events, conferences, and workshops to foster collaboration within the cybersecurity industry. It also works with the government to influence cybersecurity policy and regulation. Okay, so we've got Korea Internet and Security Agency. So this is a government-affiliated organization that plays a central role in South Korea's cybersecurity ecosystem. It is responsible for monitoring and responding to cyber threats, promoting information security, and providing support to cybersecurity initiatives across the country. I can't get over this name. Inside. Cybersecurity conference and a community of security researchers and hackers. The conference is one of the most prominent in South Korea and attracts top talent from around the world. Okay, maybe I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh at this name because it might be a really big deal. Maybe I'll ask a follow-up question about this organization. Okay, so please tell me more about the Inside cybersecurity group. Okay, so if this group is actually really important to cybersecurity in South Korea, I should be able to find a website. So I'm just going to Google this. And I can't find anything. So okay, so it looks like there's is this a YouTube channel? English to Korean translator. I don't know. So okay. So this looks like let's search for this name inside of YouTube. Okay, so we've got 2011, we've got 2012. We have a channel. Is this an official channel? Let's put this in another tab. Yeah, GX00 says, I'm just thinking most articles would be written in Korean. That's true. That's true, but I'd expect that that there would be something a little bit. Well, I mean, I would expect that there'd be something that I could find that's a little more current than like 10 years ago. But I don't know. We have 2015 over here, and okay, 2016, 2018. That's more like it. Okay. All right. So I guess this is the cultural barrier that we can't find this stuff unless we're searching in Korean. And I guess there's a limit to what we can find on the English internet, because this is not so, hey, look, it's my stuff and I'm live right now. That's great. Anyways. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna note Seku inside. Seku inside. Anyways, copy that. I'm gonna put it in my document over here. And I'm going to list this as a cybersecurity interest group. Who are South Korea's allies in cybersecurity? Well, I can answer that. It's America. Maybe Taiwan. Maybe let me ask ChatGPT and see if they have a good answer for this. Who are South Korea's major allies in cybersecurity? Okay, US. Okay, Japan. All right. Australia. So, okay. GX000, if I were to ask most of these questions about Australia, and we were answering questions like, who are the prominent hackers? What are the big incidents that happened in the past? What are the major organizations and companies, etc.? Do you think? I mean, it would probably be much easier to find information because there's no language barrier as far as our two countries are concerned. But we would be able to find these answers probably a lot easier than for South Korea over here. So America, Japan, Australia. European Union, United Kingdom. Well, I mean, okay. I just wanted like 3, but we'll include the EU. And GX00 says I could probably answer a lot of those questions. Okay. Interesting. Well, as far as the cybersecurity scene in Australia is concerned, does it feel like Does it feel like it's as thriving and as busy as the one over in Canada or in Vancouver, for that matter? Because I can't. It's hard to say because if we go to like a tiny town in Australia, it's not going to feel like there's anything there. So you have to compare big cities to big cities, apples to apples. Probably more thriving. Well, I mean, that's actually great to hear. Oh, you know what? And as a part of Australian news, did you take a look at the breakdancing performance by that Rachel Gunn Olympic performer? Have you been watching that? I actually am interested in the breakdancing competition, and like a Canadian actually brought home the gold for breakdancing. Her husband was on the selection committee. That sounds like some nepotism right there. But I don't want to say anything because it seems like Rachel Gunn did qualify through some sort of competition. She took it sounds like she took the top spot in some sort of other competition before she was selected for the Olympic team. So I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So is there anything else we need to know about the South Korean hacker scene? You know what? Maybe I should just ask. Maybe I should just look for some Google videos. I mean YouTube. All right. Korea hacking culture. It's only going to talk about North Koreans. Okay, the horrors I saw in what? Korean private schools, work culture, North Korean suspected of hacking. You know what? I don't think there are very many of these videos. They're all talking about North Koreans. Whenever there's the word hack in Korea, it's always North Korea. South Korea hacking smoking gun. Okay, well this looks a little bit better. 100% should do a thing on North Korean hacking. You know what? Maybe I should. Maybe I should. But the thing is that there are some questions that we're not going to be able to. Yeah, there's basically not very much as far as South Korea and hacking. It's all about North Korea. But you know what? Let me bring up the Darknet Diaries episode. Darknet Diaries, South Korea Olympics. Olympic Destroyer, yes. Okay. So if you're interested in the in this story right here, this was a story about the South Korean Olympic Games that happened in 2018, and I'll provide that in the chat. Anybody who wants to listen to the story, I'll probably listen to the story in the next couple days. But all right. Oh, okay. So GX000 has a link for us. This better not be malware. Oh, this is Red Star OS. Okay. Yeah, okay. So Red Star OS is the North Korean. Is this this looks like Apple. Is this like an Apple-like operating system? If you take a look at the homepage over here, GX00 says it's based on Linux. Okay. But I don't know what they've stolen. Well, okay. But yeah, this looks like the Apple dock basically. And I guess you know what you should do? You should look for Red Star OS. And then we should look at some images. 7 Arc 9, like Apple from the 1990s. Okay. I am actually not very I'm not very familiar with what Mac OS desktops look like. I just know that they look kind of like, I don't know, maybe kind of like this. This looks a lot like Apple. ChatGPT tried so hard. So GX00 said, I started tracking from South Korea to North Korea. ChatGPT tried so hard, but I succeeded. Oh, you social engineered me for sure. I'm now looking at North Korean OSs. Yeah. All right, you got me. You got me. All right. So everybody, thank you very much for attending our our stream today. We talked about all sorts of South Korean stuff. We found out a couple of big organizations that deal with cybersecurity in South Korea. And we talked about a couple of big cybersecurity incidents that happened in North Korea, including the Winter Olympics over here. And these people might be big hackers in South Korea, but I'm not sure. There's this person who's named Based. You know what? Let me see if I can Google this person. Based. What the hell? What? What is this? Dog lover beer? What? You know what? Everything I researched today could be completely wrong because man, sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult doing open source intelligence. All right, so we took a look at SQL injection on the blind side, the Boolean based and the time based one, and we also did our research on South Korean hacking scene. We might do more. You know what? I should find guests. I should find guests that are from these cultures, so that you could so that they can tell me more about their culture and what what the hacking scene is like in their country, instead of blindly googling around like some sort of idiot. But thank you very much for joining me on this journey. Let's find somebody that we can raid. So we're looking at the InfoSec streams. And I'm the only one who's on as far as InfoSec streams are concerned. That's kind of sad. Okay. But anyone, thank you very much for attending today. And we're going to be back on Wednesday. What are we doing on Wednesday? Let me take a look at the Reddit real quick. So did you know that it's week 33 of 2024? There's only about 20 weeks left. So on Wednesday, we're going to be practicing Boolean SQL injection, and we're going to be learning how to use SQL map. And then the secondary topic, we're finally going to get to Kevin Mitnick. To anybody who doesn't know, over on, what is it? So DEF CON. So DEF CON always has a Jeopardy event, Hacker Jeopardy. And let's see, do they have one from, so recently, during this year's conference, they had a special category, and it was all about Kevin Mitnick. Hacker Jeopardy was hilarious this year, and that is from Catastrophe. Catastrophe, hey, welcome to the stream. Let me welcome you in with some Hack the Planet.
Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
Shut up and get in.
So I don't know if Hacker Jeopardy has its own channel or if it's on the just on the DEF CON main YouTube page. Let me search this up. Jeopardy. It was really good this year, but it looks like they don't have the current ones online. May not be live yet. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Captain Crunch, yeah. Severnark, thank you very much for that mention right there. All right, so we're just gonna go offline, but we're gonna be back, and we're gonna be talking about next time. We're gonna be practicing our SQL injection, and then we're gonna be talking about Kevin Mitnick, the world's most wanted hacker. And everybody, until then, have a great week, and we will see you next time.